Come all you young rebels and list while I sing. For love of one's country is a terrible thing. It banishes fear with the speed of a flame, and makes us all part of the Patriot Game. My name is O'Hanlon, I'm just gone 16. My home is in Monaghan, and there I was weaned. I was taught all my life cruel England to blame, and so I'm a part of the Patriot Game. 'Tis barely 2 years since I wandered away with the local battalion of the bold IRA. I read of our heroes and wanted the same, to play out my part in the Patriot Game. They told me how Connolly was shot in a chair, his wounds from the battle all bleeding and bare, his fine body twisted, all battered and lame. They soon made him part of the Patriot Game.
The offensive against Warren Point Harbour. They've warned the owners of cargo ships using the port that the safety of their vessels can no longer be assured. The harbour has come under mortar bomb attack in the past because provisionals say it's being used by the Army and Marines on intelligence gathering duties. Train services between Portadown and Dundalk have been disrupted because of a bomb scare. The border section of the line has been closed and security forces are searching the area.
A soldier is still seriously ill after being shot inside the Royal Victoria Hospital in Belfast. He was hit 3 times when a gunman opened fire on him in a corridor leading from the casualty department to the canteen. And a policeman was also injured when gunmen ambushed an RUC Land Rover on the Springfield Road. Several shots hit the vehicle and the constable was treated in hospital.
There you are. Head round for the heads. Go there.
Belfast, the north of Ireland. A summer day like any other. Since 1970, the days have been filled with a war that has cost the British government several hundreds of millions of pounds and over 600 dead soldiers and police. In the same time, over 2,000 Irish civilians have been killed. All this is normally reported in the news media like the sports scores. 3 Catholics killed, 1 Protestant killed, 2 British soldiers killed. Terrorists, Protestants and Catholics are the words one most often hears. The image is a bit confused, but it's there nonetheless. Some kind of bizarre religious war. And yet, the 2 principal forces involved in the fighting, the British Army and the Irish Republican Army, have nothing at all to do with religion.
Checker.
Indeed afford to have the country led by any other policy other than a paramount ideal of keeping, indeed, Northern Ireland an integral part of the United Kingdom. Otherwise, we perish. As I have previously said, ladies and gentlemen, from this platform, we, the Unionist Party, and indeed the Orange Institution, have nothing to be apologetic for in the treatment of the minority in this country.
The city of Derry, October 5th, 1968. The beginning of the Civil Rights Movement. These are images of one of the first civil rights marches in Northern Ireland. Civil rights, the name and the tactics immediately evokes the southern United States in the 1950s and 60s. In more ways than one, as is plain to see. A non-violent form of protest for moderate reforms, which is met by systematic police violence. Only at this time and in this place, the protesters were white. They were Irish. For most people who know little about Ireland and even less about Northern Ireland, the events of the late 60s are completely baffling. And with good reason, for Northern Ireland is indeed a peculiar state. For over 50 years, one political party, the Unionists, were in power. They had the support of loyalists of all social classes, thanks to a political line that was very simple. Maintain union with England and preserve loyalist supremacy, no matter what the cost. This meant control of all levels of government, the police, the courts, housing, as well as the major sources of employment. In 1968, unemployment in the nationalist community was nearly 25% compared to 6% for the loyalists. And then there was the Special Powers Act. Over the years, this law has been used to imprison thousands of nationalists without charges or trials. But to understand all this, one must go back in time to the roots of the Troubles. In 1601, English troops led by Lord Mountjoy defeated the last of the Irish chieftains. Ireland, one of the richest agricultural countries in Europe, was in the process of becoming a British colony. In the north of Ireland, where resistance to the conquest had been the strongest, large numbers of Scottish settlers were given land that had been forcibly taken from the natives. The colonizers happened to be Protestant, the displaced Irish happened to be Catholic. That 17th century settlement explains why today in all of Ireland there are 1 million loyalists, loyal to England that is, to 3.5 million Irish nationalists.
But I have also said
300 years later, the Loyalists produced one of their most charismatic and extreme leaders, the Reverend Ian Paisley.